guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Katrina and I am so excited for this video because it is my first video in my wedding vlog or wedding video series. I started vlogging more regularly earlier this year just because, one, I knew that I have always wanted to do YouTube, but I never really committed to it, so I thought vlogging would be a really great start for me to get used to creating videos. And then secondly, I'm getting married this year, so 2023 is going to be a really big year, and I thought that creating this wedding video series would not only help me look back on it and remember everything that happened so that I could have memories of it, but also on my Instagram, you guys have been asking about how wedding planning is going and if I can share more content about wedding things. So I thought I would create this series and document the whole process. So I got engaged last April and I have been planning the wedding since then, and it is now March of 2023 and our wedding is 6 months away. So a lot has happened since then and I haven't really shared a lot of content about it. So I thought that this first video could be like a what I envision for my wedding. I can show you guys my Pinterest board, how I want my wedding to look, what I've done up until this point, so like what types of vendors I have booked and everything that I've done so far, and then I can continue to document the process of all of the other exciting things like trying on wedding dresses for the first time or asking my bridesmaids to be my bridesmaids and all of those things. So yeah, let's get started because I'm super excited to share with you guys what I've done. I also want to share some of the decisions that I made and why, so that it could help you guys maybe make decisions on what you want to do for your wedding if you have one. Okay, I actually have a notes page on my phone of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about in this video. And the first thing on the list is our engagement. As I shared earlier, I got engaged in April of last year, and if you haven't seen the engagement video that I posted on my Instagram, then make sure to go follow my Instagram and check it out. But long story short, we got engaged at Yosemite National Park. National parks are kind of a thing for us. We have been to multiple national parks together and we love to go on hikes and just be out in nature together, especially with a few of our really close friends. So he's from New York and I'm from California. We met here in California and a couple of his friends were flying in from New York so that they could join us on this Yosemite National Park trip. And at that point I was a little bit suspicious already, because why would they fly all the way across the country to go to a national park with us that they've been to like so many times? Anyway, we did a weekend trip, did a hike, and he proposed to me with the view of Yosemite National Park in the background. It was just the best. I already knew that from the pandemic there were going to be a lot of other brides postponing their weddings until this year, and originally I wanted our wedding to be like a spring-summer wedding, but I realized that all of those dates were already booked up. Also, the dates that I wanted weren't really like, I don't know, I'm like a really weird numbers person, so I feel like the number or like what the date looks like when you write it down has to flow. And I feel like in like Vietnamese or Asian culture, there are certain like lucky numbers. And so I wanted to make sure that the date that we got married was also an auspicious number. So we are now having a late summer, early fall wedding, which I personally now like. The idea of it sounds so much better to me because the weather is going to be better where we're getting married, and I feel like the setting and just like the entire vibe and feeling of the wedding is going to be really nice during that time. So the two vendors that I booked right away were our photographer and our venue. The photographer was super important to me, and I already knew that I wanted to book my friend Allie as our photographer even before I got engaged, because we've known each other for pretty much our entire lives. And when I found out she became a wedding photographer and I saw her work, I was like, she's gonna be our photographer because her photography is so beautiful. So I had to make sure that I aligned when she was available for weddings with when the venue was available for a wedding. And I found a really beautiful venue in Northern California, which is where I am originally from and where we will be getting married, because I have a really big family and I want to make sure that they can all attend the wedding, and the best place for us to get married is up in Sacramento, where I am originally from, because that's where all of my family live. The other vendor that we have already booked is our caterer. And when I think of our cocktail hour, as well as our reception and the food that we'll have, something that's really important to me and my mom and my family in general is that our guests are well fed. So during our cocktail hour, we'll definitely have drinks and an open bar, but we want to make sure that there are really delicious hors d'oeuvres passed around. And the one thing that I really wanted at our wedding for cocktail hour was a beautiful and big charcuterie spread or charcuterie table. So we were able to find a vendor that had this as one of their offerings. So I'm super excited about that. I even pinned like a picture of a bride eating off of the charcuterie table, and I feel like this is gonna be me at my wedding. And then when it comes to our reception and the dinner that we would be serving, I went back and forth with the type of food and the type of service that we wanted at our wedding. Because when I envision like a formal wedding, I envision people being served their food. So they would choose like chicken, steak, fish, or vegetarian or whatever, and they would be served the food that they chose. However, with the amount of people that we are inviting and the amount of people that we anticipate coming, plated food is the most expensive. So if you're not a bride yet, just know that individual plated food is the most expensive option for wedding catering. So the other option was family style. And in more traditional Vietnamese or Asian style weddings, you'll notice that there's like a 10-course Asian style meal. However, that was not an option for us because one, that wasn't a caterer that would be accepted at our venue, and then two, I wanted to maintain the elegance and the beauty of our table settings. So having candles and flowers on the table, and you're not able to put a family style meal on the table with all of that on there. So we decided to do a buffet style, and we were assured by our caterer that they would create a really beautiful buffet spread for our wedding guests so that they could enjoy their food and they get to choose what they want to eat. And I feel like when you serve buffet style food, the food stays hot for longer, because when you get plated food, it may sit on the plate for a little while before you even get served it. And then when it just sits on the plate in front of the guest and maybe they're like walking around or mingling, the food will get cold. So my original idea or vision for our wedding was an outdoor European garden vibe type of wedding, and that was because I originally wanted to have an all outdoor wedding. But our wedding is actually going to be an outdoor ceremony and an indoor reception, which I am actually so glad about because it gives me the best of both worlds. I can still have that beautiful outdoor wedding look and then create a beautiful and romantic setting indoors for our reception. So the pictures that I pinned as inspo for our wedding are still reminiscent of that European garden vibe, but brought indoors. So I love all white flowers and candle lit tables and dim lighting, a lot of like drapery and gold accents. I find that to be super elegant and classy. And one flower that I wanted to make sure is a big part of our wedding is orchids. The reason why is because I'm Vietnamese and my Vietnamese name is Lang, which is orchid in Vietnamese. It's also my mom's favorite flower, which is why she named me that. So I really think that having orchids in our table settings or in my bouquet or just somewhere within the floral arrangements is going to be be a really special touch. I want our wedding to feel like really warm and inviting, and I feel like the venue that we booked can really do that for us because we can dim the lights, we can make it feel super romantic with the candlelit tables, and the gold accents really help elevate the look of the table settings. So that's what I pinned on my Pinterest for the overall look and vibe of our wedding. So I just mentioned that I want our wedding to be formal and elegant and classy. So when it comes to the dress code for our wedding, I want it to be formal, black tie optional. So for our female guests, I want them to wear dresses that are past the knee, so either like midi dresses or full-length dresses, and then men to wear dark suits or tuxedos if they choose. I think that will really give off a classy and elegant vibe for our wedding, and everybody will be so well dressed. Another thing that I want to talk about is wedding planners and if you should hire a wedding planner. There are multiple different types of wedding planners, so you can have like a day of coordinator, you can have like a wedding planner 3 months in advance, 6 months in advance, a partial wedding planner, and like a full service wedding planner. It really just depends on what the wedding planning company packages provide. In our case, when I got engaged, I was still in grad school, so I was in school part-time. I was working full-time. My fiance Sunny was working, and we are just really busy people. So at the time, we were contemplating whether we should book a full-service wedding planner or partial service wedding planning. In the end, we decided to book a full-service wedding planner, and I'm gonna put that out there that purchasing or booking a full service wedding planner is really expensive. However, it does give you a lot of peace of mind, and I have found that in the last year of planning our wedding with our wedding planners, I have not felt stressed at all. They have helped so much in helping us call vendors, compare prices, book appointments, and just make sure that we are on track to planning our wedding and booking everything on time. The reason why I chose the wedding planners that we have is because I've actually seen weddings that they have planned in the past at the same venue that we booked. It makes it so much easier to plan your wedding and still be able to like live your life. However, that just depends on the type of bride you are, because I know some people who love planning their wedding. Like they found it so enjoyable and it was like their purpose in life for that 1 year. And then I also know other people who are like, oh my gosh, I wish I booked or hired a wedding planner because it was so stressful and there was so much to worry about. So we just decided to hire a wedding planner. Let's see. The other thing that we have done is we have sent out our save the dates. So we created our save the dates on Minted, and when I think of our save the dates, that is like the first peek into what our wedding will look and feel like for our guests. So I wanted to make sure that it was elegant, classy, romantic, formal. And so when I created the save the dates on Minted, I chose a black and white photo that our photographer took during our engagement shoot, and I created like a logo monogram of mine and my fiance's initials. That's what we did for that, and I'm so happy with how they turned out. When it comes to save the dates, one thing that I will say is that it's really difficult to come up with your guest list, because you have to first write down a list of everybody that you want to invite, and you don't realize how many people you know or don't know until you actually write this down, and how many people you want at your wedding depending on how big or small you want your wedding to be. And for example, I have a huge family on both my mom and my dad's side, so pretty much half the guest list are family, and then we have to think about our friends who we want to invite and our parents' friends who we want to invite, especially because my parents have a lot of friends. So just figuring out who we want to invite, how many people we want to invite, so that we know how big we want our wedding to be. the last thing I wanted to talk about in this video is our tea ceremony. So I'm Vietnamese and my fiance Sunny is Korean, and we're going to be doing a Vietnamese traditional wedding, and this is paying homage to our cultures and also like respecting our families and parents. And so I will be wearing a traditional Vietnamese dress called an áo dài, and to incorporate Sunny's Korean culture, he and his groomsmen hopefully will be wearing a hanbok, which is the traditional Korean wedding clothing. So that will be like the cultural aspect of our marriage, and we will be having that at my parents' house. The tradition is basically the groom and his groomsmen come bearing gifts to the bridesmaids and the bride's family in hopes of marrying the bride, and like at the end basically he like takes her away and takes her home. And I'll also be wearing my áo dài during our reception as well on the day of our wedding. So that's something that I am really looking forward to because I love my culture and I want to represent that in our wedding. So I think that's what I wanted to share with you in today's video. Hopefully it gave you an idea of what our wedding will look and feel like and what I envision it to be. I'm so excited for more wedding series videos to come because there are so many exciting things happening in my life, whether that is wedding planning or not, and I just hope that you guys subscribe and join me for the journey. So if you are looking forward to more wedding videos, make sure to subscribe. Also like this video if you enjoyed watching it, and also let me know in the comments what you think of my wedding vision so far. I hope to see you guys in the next one, and thanks for watching. Bye!